Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. So I'm Killian Daly from EnergyTag. As usual, I see a number have joined already, but we'll give it a couple more minutes, give people a chance to log on, and then we will get going with the webinar and panel session today. Okay, welcome everyone. I see people are still kind of joining thick and fast, but we will get going. I have a pretty packed agenda today, so I want to make sure we get through it all. So welcome to the accreditation announcement of the first GC issuers under the EnergyTag standard. Just quickly to run through the agenda for today. So first of all, I'll give a kind of an introduction to the session, why GCs and why the EnergyTag standard. Then I'll pass to the assessor for these assessments, Katrine Verwimp from Anunda, and then onto the three organizations who are accredited today, Energinet, Flexidao, and Granular Energy, who will give an overview of the schemes that they've developed and put in place. And then finally, at the end of the session, we'll have a chance for a Q&A. So there's a Q&A function in Zoom. So if you have questions during the session, please pop them in there and we'll get to them, or at least as many as we can by the end of the session. So in total, we hopefully about 45 minutes of presentations and then 15 minutes of Q&A. First of all, obviously, all of this is about the future of clean electricity procurement. That's why we do GCs. That's why we've done our standard. It's one building block of a more granular clean electricity market, where basically we move from today's status quo of annual accounting to a more granular hourly accounting. We also enable more deliverable claims in time and space, so broad boundaries moving to boundaries that better reflect actual electricity market boundaries. So we're tackling congestion and also dealing with flexibility of the system, both on demand and supply side with this hourly matching. So these are really critical issues for the transition today, and something that are really not adequately covered in today's electricity market designs or clean electricity market frameworks. And then also enabling more fair allocation of existing clean electricity assets. So this is reality-based accounting. The basic idea is that today we don't align carbon accounting and clean electricity markets with the real world electricity market and the real world power grid. And that's what we want to do. Today, the electricity market is based on hourly local matching. We think the green electricity market and carbon accounting should be also. And granular certificates are those time-based attributes that really can enable that shift. So they're a tool in the toolbox. They're not the end goal in and of itself, but they're a really important tool to enabling hourly transparency about energy origin. And this new type of market design is something that's backed by, for example, NSOE, Europe's system operators. We share the link to their paper there. So the rules of the game are changing, right? The carbon accounting frameworks, leadership initiatives, and even regulations around what is a green electricity market, what is a green electricity claim, what does it mean to consume zero carbon electricity. They're all changing at the moment. So it's a critical time. There's a general direction of travel towards more granularity, this hourly and local matching to improve and enhance clean electricity markets. For example, so EnergyTag is kind of involved in all of these key processes directly. The Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which is kind of the carbon accounting standard used by over 90% of companies worldwide. The current proposal is centered on hourly and locational matching for the market-based method. So this is not, just something happening in a corner. This is being considered for the world's main carbon accounting standard. Similarly, for things like SBTi and ISO, it's a key part of those processes as well, and also in regulation. So things like the EU CBAM are considering this. Renewable hydrogen rules already have hourly and local matching embedded in regulation. So the rules of the game are changing and they are going more granular. And there's a lot of benefits to that. Loads of research out there. We can share more if you wish. Just reach out to us by email. But basically, studies find that this leads to more systemic decarbonization, proper incentives for flexibility and storage that are simply not there today, system cost savings as well. So hourly matching, 24/7 targets. They develop clean electricity portfolios that deliver clean power around the clock, and that delivers cost savings for the system as a whole compared to alternatives. Better consumer hedging. Obviously, the more your clean energy contracts are covering your demand, the more electricity you have secured to meet that actual demand. And it's also a big economic opportunity. This is an analysis from the IEA showing that high levels of hourly matching are already competitive today. So real clean energy delivery, renewables and storage is already competitive with industrial tariffs at 80% matching in Europe and China, for example, and even at very high levels, up to 99%. There is a cost premium getting to 100% baseload matching, but already today we can do a lot of the job of meeting new demand with hourly matched products, but they're still niche. These hybrid renewable products are still relatively niche, so we need to incentivize the tracking systems, the market structures, to scale those products and deliver round-the-clock cheap and clean power for consumers. And it's not just theoretical, it's happening all over the world today. We have a load of case studies on our website of companies that are going out there and doing this and showing we can verify clean energy on an hourly basis. So just a quick word on our standard and accreditation process. So the EnergyTag standard is an open source set of standards around how do we issue time-stamped energy attribute certificates, which is really, really an important building block in this new clean energy market structure. And then we have also the matching standard that talks about how do you link those to consumption. So that's the kind of a complete granular matching framework that we have. It's free to use. It's on our website. Go check it out. And this kind of enables an ecosystem. It's a building block. We're enabling this verified granular matching that can be used for compliance. It can also be used, for example, for meeting targets like the Climate Group's 24/7 coalition, or could be used in the future to match with the Greenhouse Gas Protocol's new standard, right? So this verified granular matching framework, it's a really important building block to reach these other goals and objectives. So the standard, it's pretty in-depth, has these chapters, some novel elements like energy storage, something that's really not covered in other energy tracking standards at the moment, because energy storage is all about time, right? It's all about shifting clean energy from 1 hour to a few hours later. And so we have a lot of detail in there on the various aspects you need to set up a robust, harmonized energy tracking system. Okay. And at a very high level, here are the kind of the key roles in a GC scheme. All right. What we're really focused on today with these GC issuers is this overseeing this registry part. How do you have a producer account, maybe a trader account, a cancelling party account? How do you track clean electricity from production to the point where that attribute gets retired and used for a claim, right? So that's really the core of what we're focusing on today, is this GC issuer segment down here. There are other roles to keep in mind, obviously producers, consumers, etc. But we're really focusing on the issuer part today. They're really the nexus of this hourly energy tracking world. And there's 3 ways of issuing GCs, right? Configuration 1, 2, and 3, we call them. Configuration 1 is really when today an energy attribute tracking system, a REC system, or registry, for example, or a guarantee of origin system, today evolves their system to issue hourly certificates or granular certificates. So that's configuration 1. And then the other main one we're focused on today is this configuration 3, where nothing really has to happen to the underlying system. So the monthly energy attribute tracking system can issue as normal, but there's an hourly layer put on top of that to supplement that information and ensure that the underlying attributes are not being double counted, but also enabling that verified hourly information and enabling that verified hourly matching claim, right? So there's 2 of those schemes being that have been accredited already, and then 1 in configuration 1. That is done by Energinet and Flexidao and Granular Energy, being configuration 3. They'll obviously go through this in more detail in a minute. All of this is about avoiding double counting. That's really the fundamental principle of what we're trying to do. Just a couple of words about the standards. They're open source and free to use. We have free open source code that's available to folks, free API spec. However, if you do want to claim to be an EnergyTag compliant or accredited scheme, then there is an extra layer of verification. So that's the process that these organizations have gone through to get here today, where a third party assesses their scheme and ensures that they're kind of doing what they're saying they're doing under the EnergyTag standard. There is an assessment fee for that to cover assessor cost. EnergyTag does not receive any fee for that, right? We're funded completely by grants, and that cost is just to cover the assessor cost. And this is the accreditation process overview. So there's an applicant, that's the issuer, for example, and the assessor, which is appointed by EnergyTag, in this case, Enunda for the last 3 assessments, and then the standard body, which is EnergyTag. So that's the basic structure. Check out the accreditation section on our website, which kind of gives you much more detail on the process itself, how to apply, what it entails. And these are the accredited organizations. That's on the website. You can see the 3 accredited organizations so far to date. They'll all be presenting today and go through their schemes. One thing to note is the scheme protocol. So that's the detail of how they've actually set up their hourly tracking or granular certificate scheme. That's free to download. So we have a lot of transparency there about how these schemes are set up and a lot to learn from those scheme protocols as well. So that's it from me. I've gone through there kind of why we do this stuff, and then of course more into the nuts and bolts of our standard and accreditation process. But now to dive a little deeper, I'll pass over to Katrine Vervim from Enunda, so one of the world's leading experts on energy tracking systems and how they get audited and verified. So really happy to pass over to you, Katrine, to go into a bit more detail.
Thank you, Killian, and hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I have the honor to elaborate a little bit on the accreditation process, while actually the core attention should be going today to the 3 first accredited organizations. Thank you also for the opportunity of introducing Enunda. We are 5 years ago, we are founded as a center of expertise in energy origin tracking here in Belgium. And we bring in experience from more than 20 years on energy origin tracking system design. I've spent 17 years with the regulatory authority on that specific topic. And much of that comes down to organizing a level playing field and preventing double counting. So today we work with quite a lot of organizations around the globe. A big part of my time I spend also with the Association of Issuing Bodies for Guarantees of Origin in Europe, where also the preventing of double counting, system organization in an efficient way is a core focus topic. And that is actually often a question that we get, like, is it either EnergyTag or Guarantees of Origin that we should choose? No, not at all. It's actually trying to prevent double counting, trying to make system innovations while building on the strengths of the existing system and totally with the existing system without forcing anything and working exactly with the dynamics under the discretion of the jurisdictions where they operate, as the next speaker will also illustrate. So thank you for that. We are in EnergyTag, the assessor. We've also been contributing to the versions of the standard as they are so far, and we keep bringing in experiences, but mainly with the focus on preventing double counting, organizing systems in an efficient way, and enabling a level playing field in this area of strengthening energy origin tracking. Why did EnergyTag choose to go for an accreditation offering? It enables to harmonize the implementation of the EnergyTag standard. It's good to have it there as a North Star orientation point for existing companies, but it's also good to know who has implemented it exactly the way it's written and how has that been taking shape. We also see that within the EnergyTag standard, there's often described a what, leaving some liberty on the how, and that's also a part of what we do in the accreditation to check whether the how is living up to the what in a sufficiently qualitative way. So this is kind of preventing poor quality schemes, which might damage the trust in the system, and that would affect every party in the whole ecosystem. So for a granular certificate issuer, being accredited in itself enables also quite some visibility. It enables recognition on the EnergyTag website, as already pasted in the chat by Enia, thank you. Is the list of accredited organizations. There's some applicants in the pipeline. Happy to proceed and hoping to see you there as well. But it enables you also to use the EnergyTag logo on your own communications. It gives you general more credibility in the market. How is the process then going? It's existing out of a few steps. As an issuer, the biggest investment is actually writing down your processes. So the beginning is just submitting the intention to EnergyTag. You submit an application form, and here you identify yourself, you indicate the intention to align with the standard. But the next step is actually the work of elaborating your processes, the way you comply with the EnergyTag standard, and elaborate that in the scheme protocol, as we call it. And there you explain how you've implemented the EnergyTag standard. That scheme protocol is what we are going to assess as assessors. But before we do that as assessors, we ask you as a Granular Certificate applicant, issuer applicant, to self-assess yourself against the standard. So explain why you comply with the standard, and cross that off in an Excel checklist. Then you pay a fee while you submit these documents, so that the accreditation assessment actually can start. Here we assure always that there's two people, like 4I principle, taking a look at the assessment to make sure that there is a neutrality involved, that the critical points are checked out. There is also some guidance included in the process. So we do identify incompliances with a view to see how can we find a way to comply with the standard, or we give at least some indications of possible ways of overcoming. This could be so or so, but of course we can't elaborate the detail. That is up to you, and we can't make a statement on your behalf. We enable some iterations, so you can go through the assessment that we've made in the checklist, and we've given observations. Then as an issuer, you get that back with the questions to update your scheme protocol, possibly, if applicable, and to update your checklist. There's room for some iterations. We try to do that in a very efficient process. Like 3 big iterations, and then some finalization, but at a certain point we need to conclude. When that happens, we have reached the point where we saw some minor deviations that were not business critical for providing trust on the system. There we asked the issuers to include at the back of their protocol a list of minor deviations. If we found them not to be problematic for trust in the system, we flagged that also to the accrediting organization EnergyTag here. And with those, the accreditation is kind of granted by EnergyTag. You sign an accreditation agreement and an EnergyTag user agreement with EnergyTag, and the accreditation agreement with the assessor, and that makes you a published organization. That process, we will have a regular update. So after 1 year and 3 years, every 3 years thereafter, there will kind of be a renewal of this process. First application process is often still a paper process, because there's sometimes still operations being planned, while the 1 year after start is an actual operational check, and every 3 years thereafter is just a check of whether everything is still compliant, whether everything is still the same way, and it gives you also the opportunity to update the processes. That was it on my side. With that, giving it back to you.
Thank you so much, Katrine. Very good summary, and obviously if there's any questions, check out the website or reach out to us as well on any questions on that accreditation process. So now we'll continue to the first scheme. So to welcome Energinet, the Danish TSO, and Nicholas Bernardi. Welcome, Nicholas.
Yes, thank you very much. And first of all, I actually would like to thank both Katrine and Inunda, and also EnergyTag, for hosting this webinar, but also for the very smooth process and getting compliant. It's actually great to have such expertise on the side, and yeah, getting good inputs, and it actually also helps you to think about, like, how could you explain things better, or how can you improve your system. So, but yeah, from my side, my name is Nicholas Bernhardi. I'm a business developer at Energinet Data Hub, and we are working with data-driven solutions for green energy transition. So, so here are some pictures of me doing that work. And yeah, you can continue to the next slide, Kilian. Just a few words about Energinet, the Danish national TSO and issuing body. We're about 2,500 employees. Our head office is in Fredericia, and yeah, we have a couple of other locations in Denmark, but we are running the Danish electricity and gas system. That is actually our main task. And besides on that, we are also the issuing body for the traditional GEOs, and we have been working on the system for granular certificates as well for the past 5 years. So yeah, let's continue with the next slides. These are just the locations, so you can just continue on the next one. Yeah, just a bit of a status. Currently, our power system looks like having 63% of wind energy, or wind and solar, and then 38% of biogas. That are figures from 2024, and our target is to have 70% of emissions reduced by 2030, and climate neutrality by 2050. So you can see here we're quite ahead on green transition, and being ahead on green transition actually needs new approaches, both for flexibility and integrating renewable energies, but also for these systems. And we've been developing yeah, our system for granular certificates for the past 5 years, and yeah, I would say right now we're at the tipping phase, having a stable system. So next slide is a timeline where you can see, like, we started with the idea back in 2020, did some prototyping in 2020 and 2021, then had some maturing, did a lot of development, both software development, but also the system actually developed, and we had a lot of dialogue with EnergyTag and other international stakeholders. And now, yeah, we have a fully integrated system, which is EnergyTag compliant. I must say though that that we still need some internal dialogue to actually put it in place. So we're not fully launched yet, but we are very happy to be EnergyTag compliant, which is a big step. Yeah, next slide is about the type of compliance. Kilian has been into it, but just to say it again, we're compliant by a configuration 1, which means that that we are, as the issuing body, issuing granular certificates directly. And when I say that, there is something special about Energinet and that part, and that is that the GEO issuer actually is another department at Energinet. And this means that even though we have a configuration 1 GC scheme here, we still operate a bit like as if it was a configuration 2, and I will show you how we did that. So, but there's a need for some coordination with the issuing body, which is internally on our side, which makes it easier than if it was an external issuing body. But still, I think others could also learn from what we are doing. So so I will try to elaborate on that. Yeah, next slides are these main aspects on the configuration 1. So at Energinet and in Denmark, we have the data hub, and this is a bit a messy slide. I will try to quickly take you through this. So we have in Denmark around about 3.5 million smart meters, and the DSOs are responsible for these smart meters, collecting metering data, both hourly and 15 minutes data, and they send it to the TSO, to the data hub system, which is the national data hub for electricity market settlement and for collecting these data. And we use these data for both the geo issuance, so for traditional geos, but we also use the exact same data for the granular certificates. And this is one main aspect of the EnergyTag compliances, that you need to have the same data source here. So we can do that by having this data hub, and we actually built a platform which looks like this third-party data service on the right side. So we just built another platform on the side where you can log into, and then we will get your data, and you will be provided with your data and your granular certificates. So next slide is actually the landing page, and one of the latest things that happened was that we enabled a trial version in this. So right now we have the login button and we have the login as trial, and when you log in, that means that this would be like the real granular certificates login. So then it would count for real, and it would be real granular certificates. When you log in as a trial, you can try it out with your own data. So you will be provided with your own data, but it will say everywhere on the homepage, would say something like trial and demo version. So you're not allowed to use these granular certificates for anything in real life, but you could see how it would look like if you would use granular certificates. So we found this to be a very cool feature for companies who probably would like to try granular certificates, but are not yet quite there to push the start button on that one. On other things on the homepage are obviously that we have all the documentation from EnergyTag and everything, so you can find the granular certificate scheme documentation and everything, and we also have a demo version, but I will come to that. Yeah, next slide is then one important part of the internal coordination, like how we do it internally, so that we are sure that you either are in the geo scheme or in the granular certificate scheme. So what we did was we built an admin module. So when you log in as a company, you would need to be whitelisted, and we built an admin portal which can be used by our geo back office people. So we have a back office from the geo issuers, and they can log into this platform, and then they can say like, okay, this company would like to have granular certificates. So we whitelist them in the granular certificate scheme, and this means they are not allowed to get traditional geos anymore. And this could actually also work in another setup. So when you imagine you're just another company and you're not the issuing body, you could still kind of use such an admin portal and then provide it to the geo issuer, who then could whitelist the granular certificate. So yeah, this is one view on that one. And if you take the next slide, you can see there are more details, and we can actually do that down on the metering point level. So you could actually enable a single wind farm or a single solar field or solar cells for granular certificates, and the rest could still get issued geos. Another important feature that we built in is on the next slide, Kilian, and that is our reporting tool. So what we figured during our prototyping actually already was that companies are very much interested in statistics and reporting, and we know some of our service providers who are with us today. They have great tools to do that, but we found it important to build in some trust into this, and we built a very short version of a report. So it's a single page showing you how you're covered with granular certificates. It shows you the source. It shows you from which municipality in Denmark it comes from, and it shows you if there is any state support. So these are some very like main figures on this one, and then our service provider colleagues are way better at doing these reportings, but we found it cool to have like a feature that enables you as a company to say like, okay, we have a report from Energinet, the issuing body, and they show us how we are covered on this. So yeah, these are some of the features on the platform. If you go to the next slide, you can, I put you 3 links actually. So the first one is the real platform, where you could log in, and where you also can log in as trial, where you can try it out with your own data, but that means that you need a metering point in Denmark, obviously, because you log in with your national login. If you try the demo version, so the second slide, there we have some mock-up data, so there you can just log in and see how it looks like and try it out. And then the third link is for the developer portal. So if you want to build a third-party service on top of that, we have APIs, and you can try that one out and become a service provider based on our software. So that was it from my side, and I think I'm on right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, perfect. Thanks very much, Nicholas. Yeah, fantastic to see that. It's a really good example of how an existing issuer of EACs or guarantees of origin can implement hourly certificates also. So it's a really, really good template. And thanks for the leadership there. So now we will proceed. Welcome Annie Chen from Flexidao, and over to you.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Annie Chen, and I'm the product owner of environmental commodities at Flexidao. And I'll be taking you through a really important milestone, which is the accreditation that we did for EnergyTag. I'll explain a bit more what the accreditation means, how the process of Flexidao works in practice, and also, most importantly, what we've learned from applying it in real-life projects at a global scale. Before diving into the details, let me give you a bit of context about who we are and why this matters. So at Flexidao, we focus on helping organizations understand in detail the impact of the electricity that they consume. So we do this by collecting and verifying electricity consumption data and matching it against certificates. And we currently manage over 50 terawatt hours of electricity portfolios in more than 30 countries, monitoring more than 25,000 consumption sites globally. And because of that scale, it gives us a unique visibility into how certificates, data systems, and regulations work in a lot of different regions. And also, because of this experience, we've played an active role in shaping standards for granular certificates as well. So what exactly happened this year? Moving over to the accreditation. So as Flexidao, we have been officially accredited by EnergyTag as a GC issuer under Configuration 3. And it is allowing us to issue granular certificates in more than 50 countries globally. As Katrine just explained as well, the accreditation involved a comprehensive review of all our methodologies, systems, and governance. And the process confirmed that our certificates are issued independently without double counting through an auditable and transparent registry operated by us. In parallel, we're already performing 24/7 matching in 18 countries, covering 20 terawatt hours in 2025 so far. And we're also advising in several policy and technical boards, such as the Scope 2 Greenhouse Gas Protocol, Climate Group, and more. So moving over to how Configuration 3 exactly works, because that is what we accredited for. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with Energy Attribute Certificates, EACs, GEOs in Europe, RECs in US, IRECs in many other countries. These are the official proofs that a unit electricity was generated by a renewable source, and usually on a monthly or annual level. What we do is that we convert those into hourly or 15 minutes level. Mostly we work with hourly certificates, and they let us know exactly when the renewable power has been generated. So the setup of how Flexidao works is that first a buyer cancels their monthly or annual EAC in the existing registry. When we take the cancellation record from an existing registry, we combine it with settlement grade production meter data from that same project. And using our platform, we break that energy down into hourly slices, and we issue a corresponding granular certificate for each hour. And these hourly certificates can be used for reporting. So they are non-tradable and provide an auditable hourly trail that allow you to match your generation with consumption, ensuring that no double claims are being made. So in other words, or configuration tree, it doesn't replace the existing certificate systems. It builds on top, adding a time dimension that we need for 24/7 claims. Going to the next slide. And in practice, this approach actually has already been demonstrated at a global scale through a collaboration with Google. Together, we converted their global renewable energy portfolio into hourly certificates, covering multiple regions and technologies. To enable this, we ingested and validated data from asset operators over the whole world. And each data point was matched with certificates, checked for consistency, and verified against the established standards. The project showed that the hourly energy accounting is not something that is a future ambition, but it is actually feasible today. All the necessary data exist and the standards are defined, and accredited issuers can provide assurance that the certificates are actually reliable. In a blog post soon to be shared, we will share a lot more details about this implementation at global scale and what it means for the market. Going to the next slide, I wanted to share a bit about what did we learn by doing this at such a global scale. So first of all, preparing all the data is super important. So we had projects where we had complete data, which went very smoothly, but when data is very incomplete, inconsistent, it slowed down the process a lot more. We've also seen that standardization throughout registries, suppliers, operators, it is a very important aspect as aligning timestamped IDs, etc. It will make the implementation much more scalable. Third, offtake needs to be very clear. If a buyer takes 100% of a project's output, issuance is very straightforward. But if we only offtake a part of a project, then more documentation is needed. And at last, early checks save a lot of headaches later. These seem like very technical details, but it was a very good learning for us to see also and to also ensure that the hourly certificates are actually credible, verifiable, and scalable for the future. What does it mean for the companies, suppliers, and buyers in practice? If we go to the next slide, Killian? Yeah, so what it means for companies, suppliers, and buyers. What we wanted to recommend is and say is today any contract type can be a 24/7 contract today. That includes PPAs, green tariffs, and even unbundled certificates. The key is asking for hourly meter data and EACs for the same assets. And once you have both, an accredited issuer such as Flexidao can validate, convert, and certify that all the hourly data and the claims that you make are reliable. It also means you don't have to wait for new markets, new laws. You can already combine your annual renewable coverage with this hourly and local matching and be ahead of the curve for upcoming regulations. What we also want to say is, and also very important, partial offtake is possible. So you don't need to own 100% of a project. As long as all the data is clear, it's available, you can claim your share without any risk of double counting. To wrap it up, from our side, we wanted to share that the accreditation really was a signal that the system is ready to scale globally. Configuration 3 gives us a practical and reliable way to extend today's certificate systems. I want to thank you for your time and look forward to your questions a bit later.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much for the great presentation, Annie, and obviously for all the work as well. It's great to see this kind of global scale. You mentioned kind of 50 countries at the beginning, where this is now enabled. That's a really, really important point, that tools like this can really make getting an hourly, more credible, more transparent view of where your energy is coming from is something that's available right now today. So really appreciated the presentation. With that, we'll move through to our final presenter, Benedict from Granular Energy. Welcome, Benedict, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Killian, and thanks to EnergyTag in general for putting on the webinar, and for everyone who's listened. I'll keep this pretty snappy because I know we want to keep some time for Q&As. So first of all, just to introduce myself. So I'm Benedict. I work on the tech team here at Granular, and I led our EnergyTag accreditation process. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a bit of a view of who Granular Energy is, what we currently do as our core product, and how we see EnergyTag and our brand new hot off the press accreditation, literally just, I think, 10 days ago, how we see that kind of fitting in. So this is Granular. Nice photo of us here on the Seine in Paris. We've been around for about 4 years, and we sell a SaaS platform to energy utilities. And we sell a whole different suite of tools, whether it's selling functionality to trading teams, to portfolio managers, to the actual account managers who are working directly with clients at suppliers. If you go on to the next slide, give a bit of an overview of how the platform looks. So yeah, like I said, SaaS platform selling to utilities. And how we do this is we take in the existing monthly certificates from the registries. So depending on what region you're in, different registries. And then we connect to the internal tools down here in the bottom left to take in the metering data or take in the deal flow from a supplier. And then we spend a lot of time on the far other end thinking about the actual end consumers. So the whole point of the Granular platform is to sell more traceable tariffs to end consumers. So we're taking those two data sources on the left and we're combining them together. We run an allocation process in the middle, and then we generate reports and dashboards for an end consumer. And we're operating in kind of two modes. One is the old mode of monthly certificates or annual reconciliation. So we're currently, for example, in the UK, the compliance period has just ended. So we're knee-deep in running lots of annual reconciliations for UK suppliers. But then we also work with suppliers to help them transition to this hourly matching. So we're operating at these different levels of granularity, and that's where the EnergyTag accreditation comes in. Go to the next slide. Lots of different clients. We're initially very focused in the UK and Western Europe, but we're now branching out more into the US and some exciting projects in Asia. Again, operating at those different granularities. Lots of these are hourly. Some of them are still on the annual accounting basis. We have a nice quote from Total here, summarizing the kind of value that we provide. So enhanced traceability for the end consumers and efficiencies in getting to that enhanced traceability. Next slide. So we've been around for about 4 years, as I said, and we've been doing hourly matching long before we did our EnergyTag accreditation. So I just wanted to share a quick case study from our friends at Good Energy. So Good Energy is a UK supplier. They're, I think, pretty much the first mover to offer a large-scale hourly tariff, and they decided to offer it to all of their business customers at no extra cost, and they see this as an acquisition and retention strategy. And this is at serious scale, hundreds of gigawatts of portfolio size. And they were just the first in the UK. They've now been joined by a number of UK suppliers and suppliers around the world that are even larger portfolio sizes on this hourly matching. Next slide. So where does EnergyTag kind of fit into this? So this slide is showing a bit of the evolution that we see. So historically, on the left, Excel is basically the standard. If you're a supplier working in with monthly certificates on an annual basis, you can get away with running it all in an Excel spreadsheet. So there's normally some giant spreadsheet that's been around for years and years that one person knows how to work. And at the end of the compliance period, they do a manual process where they're taking the monthly certificates and they're allocating to each consumer, and then they do a report. So pretty time consuming and only possible to operate at that very broad granularity on an annual or a monthly basis. Sorry. And the evolution then, as you begin to think about hourly, you're going for much, much higher levels of complexity. So you're moving from that one annual figure for each consumer for annual matching to 8,000 odd hours of the year, within which, as a supplier, you have to think about your production and consumption and making sure that it's balanced at any point in time. So that's where Granular comes in, and we have a platform that ingests this data, runs the optimized allocation for each consumer and for each producer for each half-hour slot in the year. And then the way we see EnergyTag fit into this is the kind of continuation of that evolution is you're moving from spreadsheets to specialized tools. And then EnergyTag is exactly as Katrine was outlining, setting that kind of standard around the world that just layers trusts on top of it. So it's all very well for Granular to offer hourly matching functionality, but it adds a whole extra layer of trust, both aligning them with the standard and the audit requirements and things that I'll talk about in a little bit. So it's just an extra layer of credibility on top of the platform that we're already selling. And the nice thing is, because Granular has been very closely involved with EnergyTag, designing the standard, this version of the standard, and the evolutions that we expect to see in the future, our core platform is quite neatly aligned with the EnergyTag standard. So we didn't have to do lots of work to change how we currently work to go through the accreditation process. Next slide. So similar to Flexidao, we chose config 3. And for anyone who's not familiar with all the different configs, this is the kind of pragmatic config view. So it exists within a world where most regulated registries are still issuing monthly certificates. And what we're doing is taking those monthly certificates and enriching them with the half-hourly metering data. So on the left, we have these 3 data sources: half-hourly consumption, half-hourly production metering data, and then the cancelled certificates. Sorry, that says NFCs. That's the term in Japan, rather than EACs, which is the international term. So we take these 3 data sources, the supplier sends them to us, normally over an API, and what we're doing is matching the half-hourly production data to the same monthly certificate, just as Flexidao is doing as well. We're validating that it all lines up, and then we're allocating that to the half-hourly consumption. And that's the point where we're issuing granular certificates, and then we immediately cancel them simultaneously with issuance in the consumer's name. And then it slots into the same half-hourly reports that I was on the previous slide. So as a consumer, you can see what type of energy you're getting in terms of the type of technology, the location, the carbon intensity that comes along with that. And you have a nice extra green stamp of this is the EnergyTag. This is aligned with the EnergyTag standard. Next slide, please. So we started off with just a AIB region plus the UK. We're going to be running some more regions through the process soon, because we've had quite a lot of interest from geographies outside of that. And I just wanted to give a bit of an overview of how we found the process, if anyone is considering it. When you open up that standard document initially, it can look a bit overwhelming. It is a doable process, and working with EnergyTag and with Katrine and her team has been an absolute pleasure. It took us about 3 months end to end to do this. We registered our interest early summer. We spent a few months writing our protocol document, and then with a few rounds of revisions from and under, we were able to get our protocol through. And that's mainly because the Granular Energy platform has grown alongside EnergyTag. So all of our core building blocks are in place already. It was just a case of adding a little bit of extra, more verification of the data as the primary thing. And I think if you go on to the last slide, yeah, so how the Granular platform exists now, any supplier within this region, and soon other regions as well, can choose to turn on the issuance of Granular certificates. There's a few extra things that a supplier needs to align with, but they're pretty minor compared to getting the core data to Granular. So there are extra checks on the accuracy of the metering data, and we have to take I won't get it too much into the rabbit hole of it, but there's a specific type of data, net metering data, that we have to accept. We also only will be working with valid cancelled certificates. This is kind of key to the config 3 because it avoids any concerns about double counting. If we're essentially transforming a monthly certificate into lots of half-hourly certificates, we need to make sure that the core monthly certificate doesn't sold on by someone else and used to back a claim elsewhere. So we're only working with cancelled certificates here. And then the final thing is just deeper requirements around auditability. So either Granular auditing or another third party, suppliers have to sign up to let us take a close look at records on a spot basis to make sure that everything is lined up. But those are the three main requirements for a supplier that wants to turn this on. Other than that, everything else is pretty minor, which is exciting because it means for all the suppliers that we currently work with around the world, you can now flick a switch and start issuing GCs to end consumers. And I'll stop there because I know we're running out of time, but thanks everyone, and happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Benedict, and indeed to all of the issuers there for the comprehensive presentations. We hope everyone kind of got a good feel for what the process is and ultimately what it means to have an accredited hourly tracking system or GC issuance system. And I guess just to kind of summarize in terms of conclusions, obviously we've shown the EnergyTag standard has now been implemented, enabling verified GCs in over 50, not even 40, 50 countries, with verified hourly tracking is here, right? Like this is something that's proven. We can standardize it, we can verify it. We have 3 GC issuers accredited in 2 different configurations. So we know that existing registries can move to granular certificates like Energinet, or folks like Flexidao and Granular Energy can supplement today's registries with hourly data through the configuration 3 to ensure verified hourly information without double counting. So that's really, really important feasibility point. There's no major technical barriers to this or to this scaling even further. If you want to learn more, check out the standards and accreditation sections of our website, where there's full detail on what the process involves, and how to apply, how to reach out to us about this. It's all covered in those documents. So just a bit of time for Q&A. Please do drop your questions in the chat. We'll get to a couple of them straight away. There's one quick question about reaching out to us. So you can reach out at info@energytag.org. That's the general mail. Also, there's accreditation at energytag.org, which is probably a better way of doing it for this specific process. Yevgeny will send out an email tomorrow or the day after with the details, right? And that's also covered in the accreditation documents. There's one question answered already by Katrine. In terms of just reach out obviously as well and to accreditation@energytag.org. The assessment fee is to discuss directly with them. There's a question from Natasha Quincy. It says, which proponent apart from data centers do you see are going to be the first movers in implementing hourly matching in countries where renewable proportion of the grid is below 30%? Well, already you see in like the 24/7 Climate Group initiative, there's organizations from the cement sector, pharmaceuticals, and obviously data center companies as well. I think one thing that was covered a little bit by Benedict is, suppliers look good energy, they're actually able to enable this for all of their customers almost by default, right? And that's another way of scaling this hugely. I know Good Energy have done hourly matching for like a t-shirt factory in the UK, right? So you don't have to be a massive data center company to do this. Also, the slide I showed previously, check out the case studies on our website. There's plenty of organizations from different fields working on this. If there's anyone else who wants to come in on that, feel free to do that as well. Maybe Katrine, question for you. What's the typical processing time to get certification or accreditation?
Thanks for asking. It depends actually, and it depends mainly on how far advanced you are with at the start of your process. But therefore, it's probably good to know what is the core focus of the assessors. As assessors, we focus mainly on the roles and responsibilities allocation, the liability chain. So we've had some companies that are IT focused and do an excellent job in terms of registry organization, handling meter data. And for them, the biggest challenge was to set up the contractual framework, forwarding the liabilities to all parties in the ecosystem in the right way, and making sure that everybody holds the relevant liability. While in others, it was the other way around, or like with the existing applicants, there's still also discussions on things like roles and responsibilities, measurement data, organization, how is measurement organized in an independent way, how is the quality of meter data set up correctly, and those type of things you need to have sorted out. So the actual work is drafting your scheme protocol in a way that it answers all the questions and in a way that it illustrates your implementation of the EnergyTag standard. As the more complete that is, the faster the whole trajectory is. We, as assessors, we commit to responding to your self-assessment checklist within the month, providing our feedback then. And then it depends also on your processing time regarding our comments on how long it needs. So should you be able to react and process them within the week in a qualitative way that they overcome at the same time, the same concerns that speeds up everything. Should we need more time? That's also something that for which there is room. So in that sense, the more complete you manage to be from in the beginning, from the outset, the faster the project management can be. From our side, there is an intention to be much faster than a month, but that is the general reaction time. We try to conclude it indeed with 3 big iterations if needed, and of course, if there's small things needed to go back and forward on adjusting the last bits, there's room for that as well.
Thanks for clarifying that. I guess in short, like it does depend, as you know, the granular one they mentioned 3 months, so but it can be more or less. Quick question. I'll maybe answer this very quickly because obviously we have folks based in South Asia. So how's 24/7 CFE looking so far in South Asia? I think in India, for example, there's actually a long history of procuring renewable electricity based on round-the-clock models. So combining storage and solar is already the way the government sets up their renewable tenders. We've seen massive deals recently in the last year in India, hundreds of megawatts, combining renewable assets and storage assets to deliver round-the-clock renewable power, maybe 90% of the time. So actually, I think India is one of the more exciting places for the future of 24/7. Reach out to us. So Shailesh Talang, our head of APAC, is based in central India, and very happy to go deeper on that topic if you wish. But yeah, I think it's actually a very bright future. A recent kind of piece of analysis as well from Transition Zero showed that 24/7 models actually lead to renewable build out that's much more cost effective, saving billions of dollars, in fact, for the system as a whole, rather than portfolios of more annual matching where they're only building out solar, for example. There's a quick question for Granular Energy. If by regulation the monthly EACs are not issued, how can we submit the monthly EACs to get granular certificates? Benedict.
Good question. I think I think we would struggle to issue GCs without an underlying certificate, at least under config 3. I'm not sure which country the question is coming from, but the answer is we couldn't.
Yeah. Again, it's from Ashley Zhang. We will share the contact details, so do reach out to any of us on that. There may be an opportunity there for you to directly issue the GCs in a configuration 1, in fact, but that would involve another kind of process. But that may be how you do it. I'm not sure which country we're talking about here, but there are ways around it.
And maybe if I may quickly jump in on this, if there is a good reason why regulation does choose not to issue monthly energy attribute certificates, it's good to dive into that reason as well. That there could be a risk of double counting if you organize issuing something that regulation on purpose does not issue. They might have allocated somehow by the government or green attributes to specific consumers, and then it's wise for you also to stay out of that.
This is for China. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Well, I am aware that there's the green energy or electricity certificate, the GEC in China. So obviously that's the sole governmental system there, and anything would have to be in compliance with that system and its rules and norms. Yeah, and currently configuration 3 is not something that's possible in China specifically from an energy tag perspective. One final question, and then we really have to wrap. Yeah, are the GC issuers able to work in Southeast Asia markets? Maybe Annie or Benedict, if you want to. I think Benedict, you're more focused on Europe initially. Annie?
Yeah, I can answer that question. We have already issued in Southeast Asia markets. The thing with those markets is often that what we see is that getting the settlement production data and checking and validating that process can be more challenging. It's dependent on which country, the regulations in those countries, etc., etc. But we always start from the base. So the certificates issued in that country, the settlement grade production data, and with those two, we work that out.
Fantastic. We better wrap it there. Sorry, there are more questions. Sorry, we can't get to them all. What we will do is take any questions that have not been answered and reply by email. We're going to share all of the slides, the contact details of folks, the recording on our YouTube channel as well, so anyone can kind of go back and look at it again or share it with friends. So thank you so much to all of you for attending in such numbers, especially to the panelists, to Katrine, Nicholas, Annie, and Benedict for the fantastic presentations. So thanks, everyone. And with that, we will wrap it up, and looking forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Stay tuned and follow us on LinkedIn for all updates. Thank you. Bye.